Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, Ed, aka Savage Tech Man. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hello, everyone. It's been a year. It's been a long year. And we're back here at the Geek Homeworld. And this is our pre-Oscar episode. And it's literally the day of the Oscars. So I'm inviting my Oscar Professionado, Scott Schreiber, back to the show. Welcome back, Scott.
Thank you, Ed. Happy to do it. This is the best time of year for films.
Yep. We're doing this on a cold, rainy, 45-degree day in... What month is this? March? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty dreary, but...
it's a good day for podcasting, which
exactly.
Every day is, actually. And anyway, so just a little house cleaning. So I've been away from the podcast for a little bit, a lot going on, but we're not going to get into all that foolishness. We're here to talk about the Oscars. And I'm going to go against character here and just get right to it. So
there we go. Yeah, it's the 95th Oscars, 8 p.m. tonight, hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. This will be his third time. He hasn't done it in 5 years. He did it back-to-back in 2017 and 18. And his third time, he'll be joining Jerry Lewis, Steve Martin, and David Niven as people that have done it 3 times. He's not quite in... well, who is it? Billy Crystal and Bob Hope range, but
right.
He's building up there. And tonight, honestly, it's kind of going to be a different kind of Oscars a little bit. Usually, you kind of know who's going to win a lot of these, but I'd say there are less locks this year and a lot of coin flips, so it could be for an interesting night.
Feels like the love will be spread around a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's one favorite here that's going to win a decent amount, but I believe, but yeah, other than that, I think you'll see a lot of films winning 1 or 2 here and there.
Cool. Well, let's just jump right into it. We're going to start with, I don't want to say minor categories. I mean that in any bad way, but we're going to start with the minor categories like documentaries and stuff like that. No offense to documentarians out there. And then we're going to work our way up to Best Picture. So,
yeah, I think that's good. Well, this will help. These first few categories will help you win your Oscar pool. I think we'll just go through and we'll say who we think's going to win. That might help you win some money here.
Yeah, well, if that's your thing. But so documentary short film. Then would you like to go through the nominees or?
Yeah, let's just say who without going through all no disrespect, but I think let's just talk about what will win or what could win. We got Les Pupilles and An Irish Goodbye are probably your 2 there that have a chance. Irish Goodbye won at the BAFTAs, so and then Les Pupilles has a little star power there with Alfonso Cuarón, director of Gravities and such films like that. So those are probably your 2 favorites there.
Now that's your live action short film, not your documentary.
Correct.
No. Okay. And then
that's the live action short film. And then the documentary short film, there are 2 favorites there as well. Stranger at the Gate and The Elephant Whispers. Elephant Whispers been out on Netflix for a while. Got a lot of people following that, but Stranger at the Gate seems to be the favorite there among all the pundits. So mark Stranger at the Gates, maybe Elephant Whispers. Stay away from the other ones in your Oscar pool. And then as animated short film, I think the overwhelming favorite from what I've been seeing is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's won at the BAFTAs and the Annies. I think it's probably your lock for animated short film, so put that one on the ballot for sure. And then let's go to documentary feature before we get into international film.
Okay.
Documentary features, all these films were readily available, actually. Some on HBO, some on Disney Plus. I saw Fire of Love. That's my personal favorite. That's on Disney Plus. That could be a favorite.
I feel like that could possibly walk away with it. Fire of Love.
Yeah, it's a cool story. It's the story of these 2 people that found love in geology and volcanology, and going around to all these different volcano sites, and it's a really great story. A little tragic.
They could call it the Rock People.
The Rock People as well. I don't know if it's as catchy as Fire of Love.
No, Fire of Love is awesome title.
But Navalny seems to be the favorite here, though. Now it's about an opponent to Putin, Putin tried to assassinate him, and he lived, and I believe he's in jail now. It's a story about Russia and Ukraine, and so it's very timely, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very timely right now. So with everything going on,
absolutely. So those would be my two picks for documentary feature: Navalny or Fire of Love. I personally like Fire.
Now, what about a snub for the fastest woman on Earth? You want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I thought Fastest Woman on Earth was really well done. It's about her name's escaping me right now, but she was on Top Gear, and she's a gearhead, and she broke the land speed record for women, and actually died in the process. And the documentary covers that story as it's happening. So definitely worth a shot, or worth checking out. It's on HBO as well. But I would have thrown that one in there as well.
Yeah. Now, what's our next category?
Let's move back down to international feature film. I think there's an overwhelming lock here. It's going to be All Quiet on the Western Front winning. There may be an upset with Argentina in 1985, because it did, I believe, upset All Quiet on the Western Front at another big award show, the Golden Globes, maybe. Yeah, it was the Golden Globes. But I think your overwhelming favorite here is All Quiet on the Western Front. It's been nominated for 9 Academy Awards on the night, so it just seems like this is a foregone conclusion that this one should win. An interesting note here: there is an Irish film for the first time ever in this category, named The Quiet Girl.
That was one that seemed interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a big moment for Ireland. And I just want to note, this is EO, a film out of Poland.
Oh my God.
Donkey. Yeah, this is a big year for donkeys this year in the movies. We've got EO, obviously Banshees of Inisherin features a donkey quite prominently. And there's actually a quite terrifying scene in
I like to see that donkeys are getting representation in the film industry.
Exactly.
It's something we've needed for a long time.
Right. I mean, they're showing diversity here in Hollywood, right? So.
Right. And there's another title of the film I'm not even going to mention on the podcast that's in the animated shorts, and I'll let y'all figure out what that is, but I'm not going to make any inappropriate jokes here, so that would not be good. But yeah, I feel like All Quiet on the Western Front has a chance to walk away with a lot. It seems like a film that, Hollywood loves, the type of film. When we get to cinematography, I'm going to lose my mind because of a snub there. But
but it's All Quiet on the Western Front truly is a phenomenal piece of work, though. It's the only war epic of the year, so maybe it makes it stand out in that way too. So, but it is, the cinematography in there is great. We'll get there to that category and what was snubbed.
Yeah. It's injustice.
Next up, we've got an animated feature, and I think this one's another lock. There's nothing beating Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. It's won everything at the Annie, BAFTA, Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, Producers Guild. There's no stopping it. It was a labor of love for Guillermo del Toro. I think it took over 10 years for this to be made. Stop motion. Just amazing craftsmanship. This is Del Toro's 6th nomination overall. It's his first for animation. He, of course, won twice for director and best picture for Shape of Water. But yeah, this is Pinocchio's all the way. That's one of the locks of the evening.
If you had to go on probably the cutest film in that whole category, Marcel with shells, the shell with shoes on.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Yeah, I feel like I saw that at some point, or I saw part of it. I'm not sure, but it just seemed really.
It's gotten great reviews. Yeah, I want to see it though. I'll be honest. The only other one I've seen that's nominated here is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which I really did enjoy too. I thought that was really great.
It's still doing box office all these months later, which is kind of amazing in our post-COVID world. in the industry. We're still recovering. 2023 we're still not there. Box office wise and otherwise, but we're getting there. We're slowly getting, to our higher caliber of films. And if Fast 10 is on the way, or Fast X, then I guess we're back, right?
Yeah, right. But I had some snubs here. Of course, I hadn't seen some of these that were nominated, so of course I'm going to think there were some snubs here. I really did enjoy Chippendale Rescue Rangers, which was kind of a throwback to a cartoon when I was a kid, and it's the Lonely Island guys, Sandberg, Jorma Talkinen, and so it's got that sense of humor there. So I really enjoyed that. I also thought Bob's Burgers movie was great. The one snub people were talking about here was Wendell and Wild from Netflix, because it was a predominantly black cast with black characters, and it got overlooked. Which we'll touch on that again, because there were a lot of black nominees that were overlooked where they shouldn't have been, which obviously has been a theme through the years. But maybe it'll right itself again in the future, because the opportunities have been greater, and you see that with the body of work from black filmmakers this year.
Oh, definitely. Now I saw Lightyear this year, and it was okay, but it's something about it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. I was more hyped up for it, I think, than... Yeah,
I think that's why it missed here. And Turning Red was Disney's nominee here instead of Lightyear. So, I agree. It was not quite as good as all the rest.
Yeah. So, what's our next category?
All right. We're getting into the more exciting ones here. Here's another lock. It's the visual effects. Run through the nominees real quick here. It's Avatar, Top Gun Maverick, The Batman, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think this is a foregone conclusion. It's Avatar: The Way of Water is going to win this.
Yeah.
It'll probably be its only win of the night, but more than deserving. It was pretty astounding. I saw it in high frame rate 3D, and it really is an immersive world that he's built. It's pretty impressive.
I was ready to not really care about Avatar this year, but I made sure to see it on the biggest, literally one of the biggest IMAX screens in the country, at least. And it was completely immersive. And I found the story with a lot more depth than the original. And I can't wait for the third one. And, I didn't think we'd be here. I thought it was going to be a colossal flop. I didn't think anybody really cared about Avatar anymore all these years later. And me, like a lot of others, was wrong, And I guess it just proves you make a good film. Yes, the visuals are totally encompassing, but it has a good story that holds it up. Because if your story is terrible, it doesn't matter how good your film looks. If it just doesn't have a solid story, and it had a pretty solid story. So, I don't know if it was it wasn't a groundbreaking story. It wasn't like in Inshira. I know I said that wrong.
No, but it definitely gave the characters more heart. I think you were, the family aspect to it. I did enjoy it better than the first Avatar. Because I did believe that the first Avatar script was pretty derivative of other work, more so.
Right. It was basic, so, comparatively. So,
yeah. So one note here, I think I would have personally switched Marvel films in this category and put Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness in there instead of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. That's just me. But the other nominees, you can't really argue with. I mean, the Batman and Top Gun Maverick, absolutely. Top
oh, yeah. So. And, even Black Panther, But
no, it was good. I'm just saying that I would think I would switch in. I like those visuals and
oh yeah. Well, Avatar, it is in its own league. It's its own category. Whenever Cameron makes a film and if he makes another Terminator film, I don't care. I'm going there. I don't care how good or how not so good it is. That's how big a Cameron fan I am. And continuing on, what's next?
Yeah, let's do hair and makeup next.
Oh, that's why we're not doing video today, by the way. You should see the hair and makeup or lack thereof.
Yeah, right. Dreary day is just.
I'm just like, I'm not up for video. I'm not returning on video today. But
quickly, our nominees here for hair and makeup are Elvis, The Whale, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think there's two films battling it out here. It's Elvis and The Whale. It's basically people are voting on what do you reward the bodysuit work and prosthetics of the whale and making Brendan Fraser's character look morbidly obese, which is a little problematic. I know there have been people talking about that too, about using the fat suit, but Elvis, they show him through all of his, from whenever he was 20 until he died. So, there's that argument too. They show all stages of Elvis.
Right.
So
yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed Elvis. I thought it was a very good film, and Baz Luhrmann has not let me down yet. Well, a few times, but he didn't let me down on this one.
No, it was a solid collaboration. But yeah, I don't know. It's a coin toss here. So I would lean towards The Whale, but I have a feeling it's going to go towards Elvis.
What are your thoughts on Black Panther? Because, that's probably more a costuming one. I don't know.
Yeah, I was more impressed with the costuming, more than the makeup.
Right. So Elvis or The Whale are top runners. And your snub, what's your snub?
Yeah, I was a little surprised here. I mean, you can't be nominated for everything, but Everything Everywhere All at Once seems like it deserved a makeup and hairstyle. They go through all these different, universes, and you have to differentiate each character from each universe. And I think that was a kind of a miss there for not nominating here. But again, you can only nominate 5.
It was, yeah, exactly. And I think it was probably one of the best multiverse films of the year, personally.
Take that, Kevin Feige.
Oh, no, I don't discount him because I don't discount the Kevin. So now one of my favorite categories, sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
sound.
one, I think it's tough on this one.
It is. I think this is another coin flip. We're going to have a lot of coin flips tonight. So it's between quickly all 5 nominations are all Quiet on the Western Front, Top Gun Maverick, Elvis, Avatar: The Way of Water, and The Batman. So you're seeing a lot of the same nominees here. You see a pattern. But the coin flip here is between Top Gun Maverick and All Quiet on the Western Front. My gut is telling me that it's going to go to Top Gun Maverick. How about you?
Anytime I can say Tom Cruise is going to, or something he's related to, can get an Academy Award or an award of some type, I'm going to say yes. But I thoroughly, of the films that enjoyed success this year, I mean, Maverick was definitely one of the highest grossing domestic film of the year. So even beating Avatar, when you still figure it as a 2022 movie that's still, playing in 2023. I think it deserves it. Of course, we're going to get to cinematography later, and I'm going to get angry.
Right, and that's a great point, because I think this is the one category that it truly has a shot to win. If it had been nominated for cinematography, it probably would have won.
Right.
I don't understand why it wasn't. That's a mystery in all itself that we'll get to. But yeah, here it's like I feel like the voters know that this is their chance to reward Top Gun Maverick. It's not going to win Best Picture. It's not going to win Screenplay. It may win editing, who knows, but I think this is its best shot. So, but All Quiet on the Western Front could steal it.
Another outside chance for me is The Batman. It's so atmospheric,
Yeah.
And sure. That was a very good film. So
yeah, which one of their sound mixers, interesting note here, is named Andy Nelson. He is nominated for his 23rd and 24th time in this category, a double nominee tonight for Elvis and The Batman. He's won before for Saving Private Ryan and Les Mis. And so he's won twice already, 24 nominations now. And this is the 4th time that he's been nominated twice in the same year. Pretty astounding stuff.
It feels like he needs an award or two extra for that.
Yeah, right.
An award just unto his brilliance.
But there are a lot of heavy hitters in this. The Christopher Boyes down there on Avatar, he's been nominated 15 times. Stuart Wilson 7 times. So there's a lot of guys with a lot of experience nominated here. I will say, I would say Babylon and the Northman are snubs here in this category, especially Babylon. But again, you only nominate 5. I'm a broken record there, but
Babylon was a bit of a crazy film, but I
absolutely,
I did enjoy it. It had some twists and turns in there, but
I did too. It ended up in my top 10 of the year, even if it is bizarre. I just think
I almost feel like costuming is where it has a good chance.
Sure.
If we haven't got there yet on that, but okay, I don't want to jump ahead, so let's continue.
No, that's all right. Original song is next. Hopefully, I think at least 3 of these are being performed tonight.
This one is a lock.
Yes, I agree with you. This one's a lock. This should be a lock for Natu Natu from RRR, the Indian film, which I was surprised it did not get nominated for international film.
And I hope it gets performed like that could be a showstopper for the entire Academy Awards tonight. If they performed that, just all out performed it would be fantastic.
And if I'm not mistaken, that is confirmed for the performances tonight. I believe that is confirmed. I believe the David Byrne song from Everything Everywhere All at Once is confirmed. And I want to say Rihanna is there for her song as well. So she's continuing her Super Bowl.
I know, yeah. After her fantastic Super Bowl performance. And
so she's absolutely, she was fantastic at the Super Bowl, I thought. This is her first Oscar nomination because she actually did have a hand in writing the song. I don't know I feel like she's been the performer on other Oscar nominated songs, maybe not, but and
it feels like like a way to throw an award at some love towards a Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think that if Natu Natu gets upset, that Lift Me Up from Black Panther, Rihanna would win. And some other nominees here. Lady Gaga is nominated for Top Gun song, Hold My Hand.
Even though that wasn't the greatest soundtrack compared to the original, that was a great song, and I enjoyed the video for it, and it fit well into the film. And I wouldn't want to count her out. Now,
this is her 3rd nomination already. She won one Best Song before for Star Is Born.
At the bottom of the list there, not necessarily bottom like worse, but Diane Warren, she's been around forever, and she's probably got so many well-known songs that you don't even realize she's written in her career. So just to have her in there, is always a threat because she could win it.
It's pretty amazing. She always seems to sneak in there with a song from a movie you've never heard of. It's just like, because the songwriters understand, the songwriters understand how great a songwriter she is, so they'll nominate her. This is her 14th nomination, and she's never won. And maybe one year she will. I think one year she will. She keeps doing it. They eventually will give Lifetime Achievement Award at some point.
She deserves it.
Win it. Yeah, she will get Lifetime Achievement at some point. Hopefully she gets an actual Oscar for Best Song at some point too, because that long of a career. But and David Byrne being nominated, interesting. The front man for the Talking Heads.
Totally.
And this is his first nomination for Best Song, and I did not realize he's won an Oscar for original score for The Last Emperor back in 1987. So,
well, that was a while ago even for us. So. It's okay if we didn't realize that.
There were a few songs that I wish would be here. I loved the Christmas comedy Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and the song Good Afternoon really stuck out to me, very funny. And I like when the Oscars will throw out, a nomination to a humorous song. Ciao Papa from Pinocchio was kind of instrumental to the actual plot, which that's why I really love Natu Natu here too, is it's actually used within the movie. a great musical number, while all these other ones, I believe, are, in credit songs, which kind of frustrates me. But also Taylor Swift was the big snub here. Everybody was talking about. They thought she would be nominated for her song Carolina from Where the Crawdads Sing.
They just want tickets.
Yeah,
they just want to be able to go to a concert. No, that was a good song. It was a good film. But for me, probably one of the biggest snubs in the entire Oscars, and we may touch on this later, I'm not sure, but Till. And just,
absolutely.
It even got snubbed out of original song for Stand Up. Somebody has to explain to me how Till didn't get nominated for more awards. I need to know that, like Best Picture. And
no, I agree. It was my number 3 film of the year. Amazing performance by Daniel Deadweiler, and we'll get to that when we get to Best Actress. Yeah.
Right. Alrighty. So that's original song. Did we do original score yet? No.
Nope, that's next. Original score. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Banshees of Inisherin, and The Fabelmans. Your 2 front runners here are All Quiet on the Western Front and Babylon. It's another coin flip. I don't know which way this is going to go. I hope it goes to Babylon. I really love the score in there, but
it was
I wouldn't
good.
be upset. Yeah, and I wouldn't be upset if it went to All Quiet on the Western Front either, because there is this extremely ominous tone that score sets throughout the entire film. So that theme keeps coming back and back to haunt you in that film. So I would be okay with that winning. A very interesting note down here, Mr. John Williams, nominated for The Fabelmans, oldest ever nominee at the age of 90.
And
90 years old.
It almost feels like this could be conceivably his last film or one of his last films. We know he did Indiana Jones is coming out and some other stuff, but this might be the last chance to give him a nod. This may feel like almost the last chance with The Fabelmans in some way to give an Oscar to Steven Spielberg, which we may touch on in, other things, but like in Best Picture. But I would never be mad if John Williams never won an award. He's already proved he's lived to me several lifetimes of iconic music. I mean, my life wouldn't be the same without John Williams in it.
Oh yeah, same. And like with 90 years old, this is his 53rd nomination.
Holy moly.
And he has the most for any living person. It's his second most nominations ever, to only behind Walt Disney. So
wow.
Pretty great company there.
But Babylon was I would personally probably pick Babylon out of this category myself. But I mean it set the score just set the whole scene for the movie, and just it was a good film. I loved, I've seen it probably 2 to 3 times at this point. I was a late comer to it, but The Banshees of Inisherin, and such a beautiful movie. I'm a sucker for like Irish music and stuff like that, especially this time of the year, St. Patrick's Day coming up and such. But regardless of that, it's a beautiful story, and it just, the music paints a wonderful picture. Not always wonderful, I guess, is the words, but you know what I mean on that. But yeah, original score will be interesting to see. I could totally see it, like you said, going to All Quiet on the Western Front. That almost feels like a lock, but I would like to see Babylon get it. That would be kind of cool.
Absolutely.
All right, moving along. Who's next? What is our next category here?
Now we got the costume. Probably should have done this with hair and makeup, but hey.
Yeah, well, we're doing things our way.
Yeah, right. So costume, we've got Elvis, Babylon, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, that blockbuster. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Yeah.
So my thinking here is this is a near lock for Elvis. I do think that Black Panther, Wakanda Forever could upset here with Ruthie Carter winning again. She won for the original Black Panther. So that'll be interesting to see if she can win for both films. But if
anything, this is where I think Black Panther's strength is, Wakanda Forever.
Sure, absolutely. No, I agree with that. I just, for some reason, my gut's telling me Elvis, though. It's Catherine Martin. She's married to Baz Luhrmann, and she's actually nominated for Best Picture as a producer for the first time with her husband for Elvis. This is her fourth nod for Best Costume Design. She's won twice before for The Great Gatsby and Moulin Rouge.
Which I'm a big fan of The Great Gatsby. I've thoroughly enjoyed that film. Absolutely. You know.
No, those are two of Baz's best, in my opinion. Romeo and Romeo and Juliet too, but Moulin Rouge and Great Gatsby.
I'm kind of surprised that you didn't think Babylon would take this category, because I could see it being a strong contender as well.
I think it is too. I just feel like Elvis seems to have the nod here. It won at one of the other costumes in the Costume Designers Guild when it went head to head with Babylon. So that's why I don't think Babylon's going to win. But I think she's more than deserving. Mary Zophres, forgive me if I say that wrong. This is her fourth nomination. She should have been nominated for way more than this, but in the past, she's been nominated for True Grit, La La Land, Ballad of Buster Scruggs. She's a phenomenal costume designer. You're right. She absolutely could come in there and steal it from the other two that I mentioned. I did like seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once nominated down here, just like I said that they should have been nominated for hair and makeup, all the same reasons they are nominated here for costume.
Agreed.
And then rounding out the category, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, Jenny Bevan, 12th nomination. So she's kind of a legend of her craft. 3 wins: A Room with a View, Mad Max Fury Road, Cruella. So she's the defending champ, but I don't think she wins this year. I think it's going to Elvis.
She's going to lose the Creed.
Yeah, exactly. A couple snubs here. Till, again, it's another category I think Till could have been represented. And then a movie that nobody talked about this year, Downton Abbey: A New Age. I actually really enjoyed Downton Abbey: A New Age, but it just seemed maybe it came out too early in the year.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, it would feel like if it were another year, it might have a better chance. And like you said, if it was released maybe later in the season, but people, kind of forgot about it. It was an enjoyable film, but I like the film probably for a reason that you probably like the film even more. There was some filmmaking happening during the film, and just to kind of see the throwback of some of the older equipment for a tech head like me, and the whole story. I mean, it was just enjoyable. It wasn't meant to break box office records or anything like that, but it's a good continuation of the story. And for costume design, it's not going to win. It's not going to win. But if it's not nominated, obviously. But it should have gotten. It could have had a nomination. I don't know. It could have been any other year. But anyway. So production design. I guess we're moving on to.
Yeah, let's do production design. Nominations: All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, Elvis, The Fabelmans, and Avatar: The Way of Water. This one's another tough one. I feel like this is Babylon, and I feel like this might actually be it might actually be a lock for Babylon, because I do feel it's another one of these where, okay, this is our chance to give something to Babylon, and where it might not have as good a chance in the other categories. So all these production designers for Babylon, it was their first nominations too. So, or the two production designer, art set and director. But I think Elvis and All Quiet on the Western Front also have a chance here.
It's a tough category. It really is. I mean, you have the Fabelmans in there too, and then of course Avatar. Of course, all that's CGI or whatever, but still,
a lot of sets though.
Yes, still a lot of physical sets, but
I do feel like this is Babylon's. I kind of am surprised Everything Everywhere All at Once wasn't here either. Jumping between universes again. But,
totally, yeah. I mean, just the planning of each shot of that, must have been very painstaking and fun, right?
Yeah, and you also see Catherine Martin's name here again for Elvis, as she was nominated in what was it in hair and makeup. She's also nominated in production design. This is her fourth nod here in production design. She also won for Great Gatsby and Moulin Rouge, as she did in the other category, and it may be her night again for production design. But my gut's telling me production design goes to Babylon. It did win with the Production Designers Guild. It won the BAFTA's Critics' Choice, so it seems to be the front runner.
And now we have cinematography. Boy, we have a lot to say about this.
Now and reserve a 10-minute rant here for both of us. First off, we'll go through what did get nominated.
Right.
What did get nominated? What did get nominated? So for best cinematography, we have Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths, because everybody saw that movie.
Right.
Elvis, Empire of Light, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Tar. I believe this is between two films, All Quiet on the Western Front and Elvis. All Quiet on the Western Front seems to be the front runner. I think Elvis has a shot to win. If Elvis does win, it would be history. It would be the first woman to ever win this award. Mandy Walker, she's the third woman to ever be nominated, and if she were to win, she would be the first.
That almost seems like an indicator right there that just for optics,
for history's sake.
Yeah, and history's sake.
If people are voting, I personally think All Quiet, out of these five, although, God, Roger Deakins, anything he does is amazing. I was more impressed with All Quiet on the Western Front, but I love a good war epic. Among these nominees, as I mentioned, Roger Deakins, he did Empire of Light, 16th nomination, a legend.
But the fact, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
it's all right. We'll get to that. I know you want to talk about it.
No. I was going to say the fact that we've had 1917, before,
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the train of thought I was going with. So
that maybe they won't reward All Quiet on the Western Front.
And it scares me when you get something obscure like Bardo in there, and then that runs away with it. It was like, it's like
I will say that the cinematographer there, Darius Kanji, this is only his second nomination. He's had an amazing career. His first nomination was for Evita back in the mid-'90s, but I feel like there should have been many more nominations for Darius Kanji. He's worked with all the great directors. Some of his best work was Seven. Think about the cinematography and the look of Seven.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that was
and then
classic film.
And Midnight in Paris with Woody Allen, Amour, which was a Best Picture nominee, Delicatessen, a French, what's the right word? Cult classic.
Right.
So some great nominees here, but let's talk about the one that didn't get nominated. How about that?
How in the... I've been trying to stay calm about this all year because I already knew this was a lock. In fact, I was going to drive the Oscar over to his house and just, say, "Here you go, Mr. Cruz." And not Tom. I know Tom didn't do it himself, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I will say, let's give him some props. Claudio Miranda is the name of the cinematographer for Top Gun Maverick.
How do you not at least get a nomination for Top Gun Maverick?
It is the most mind-boggling snub of the year and possibly ever. A lot of people said that if it was nominated, it would have won.
Does Hollywood hate Tom Cruise? And guess what? I don't. He's a great actor. He obviously put $1 billion in someone's pocket this year. So, that film was phenomenal. It's not the best it is cutting edge. It's very cutting edge. The cinematography, less practical effects less CGI than, your modern films that you get now.
Think about how hard it would be to mount a camera inside the cockpit of a fighter jet. Right. And film it and make it stable and look that good. It's astounding. And
it blows my mind. I don't understand, somebody call the police because Tom Cruise and his crew has been robbed. and they've been robbed of a nomination and actually a win that they deserved. There's just no words. And I'll go on for about 5 more minutes if you let me, but don't let me.
Yeah, no, I won't. I will say there are a couple other snubs that I felt like, because I did feel like the cinematography in Babylon was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then there were some black and white films this year too. The Northman was beautiful.
The Northman was really good. Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't get some kind of consideration.
That's another one that I have on a lot of my top 10 of this year. But it just came out it's another one that came out so early in the year that they can only let so many May releases get there, and Everything Everywhere All at Once was that early release that just kind of kept going. But there was another, Blonde had some great black and white cinematography, but it's also not very good at movies. So,
that could be a part of it,
Yeah. So,
but
I agree. Top Gun Maverick. How in the world did that get snubbed? Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, we better move on before this becomes a whole podcast episode about how Top Gun didn't get nominated. We're moving on to film editing. Yeah,
so we've got a lot of first-time nominees here. The nominees are Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Elvis, Top Gun Maverick, and Tar. The only 2-time nominee here is Mikael E.G. Nielsen for Banshees of Inisherin. He actually won this award for Sound of Metal, one of our favorite films. I know.
Totally love that film.
Everybody else here nominated for the first time ever. I believe this is a 2-way race. More than likely, this is going to Everything Everywhere All at Once, splicing together this multiverse story.
Yeah.
Pretty astounding work. It won with the guild, this Editors Guild, BAFTA, Critics' Choice. But the spoiler here could be Top Gun Maverick. It also won with the guild, and usually goes hand in hand with sound, or can this award. So Top Gun Maverick could be your spoiler here, but I do think it goes to Everywhere.
If I had to pick between the two, and it is a toss up for me. Honestly, I'll throw a third one in here. I think one of the first things I probably said to you when I recently saw for the first time Banshees of Inisherin is how well the scenes flowed into each other. And to me, that's very good film editing. I know it's probably not going to get the Oscar or anything like that, but I felt that the film flowed really well, and the editing I thought was done really well in that film.
Agreed, yeah.
And it's definitely one of my top films of the year, easily. But I have to agree with you. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once, just because of the complexity of all the editing they had to do and how it had to be spot on in every single scene, switching between all these multiverses and such, it should get it. Top Gun Maverick, yes, of course, it's spectacular, but I think inching it out is Everything Everywhere All at Once, deservedly so.
Absolutely.
Which moves us on to original screenplay.
Yeah, so we're getting into the higher profile awards here. We're going to do screenplays now. First, original screenplay. We've got Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, The Banshees of Inisherin, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. This is Triangle of Sadness' first appearance here. I did watch this film recently. Interesting film about class structure. I don't know if I would put it up there for Best Picture, but I did enjoy it. But I think here's another coin flip. Which one's it going to be? Everything Everywhere All at Once or The Banshees of Inisherin? My personal vote, and I know yours would be for The Banshees of Inisherin. It is the most quotable film of the year by far.
Oh, were you throwing me a pitch there?
I was. I wanted you to agree with me.
I have different thoughts on this. So
okay.
Finish your thought, though.
No, I would vote for Banshees of Inisherin, but then
I would.
Then I understand that Everything Everywhere All at Once is completely unique. So I'm okay with either one winning, but man, so
Here,
many great quotes in the Banshees.
here's totally, but here's where I almost feel like Spielberg gets a nod to his almost his entire career with this original screenplay, because this film is about him.
Yeah, it is,
and I could see that on an outside chance,
Yes, and his whole career, and all the movies and all the Oscar nominations, this is the first time he's been nominated for screenplay. So that is an interesting note, and he co-wrote it with Tony Kushner, who wrote Munich and Lincoln, among others, for Spielberg. And those two, Kushner was nominated for Oscars for. But yeah, it could. I think he has a better shot at director. But you may be right. There's some steep competition here. Todd Field, it's his third nomination with Tar. He also was nominated for In the Bedroom and Little Children. McDonough, this is his third nomination for Banshees. He did In Bruges and Three Billboards. And the Daniels, though, I feel like I think they're going to win for Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's their first nomination. For people that aren't familiar with their filmography, they've pretty much done mainly music videos, and then they did Swiss Army Man with Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. I'm not sure if how many of you out there saw it.
I think if the Academy is trying to be a little hipper and cooler, they would go with Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's more the TikTok type of generation. It's got that shorter attention span, where you can flip between universes. It's very unique. It's a very clever script. It's a screenplay. It's very unique. It's probably more unique than. Well, on the flip side, we have Banshees of Inisherin, which is a simple idea, but it's done so brilliantly, and it has, of course, that turn that you don't really think is going to happen, and when it happens, you're like, oh my, it's like, for those who haven't seen, I would not be hurt if either of those two won it. Like I said, there's an outside chance for Spielberg on this one. But of course, Banshees I would go with that. But if Everything Everywhere All at Once wins it, it would be deservedly so as well. So I can't really complain too much in this particular category.
I do want to mention a few snubs here, because they were a few of my favorite films of the year, all landing in I want to say my top 15 of the year at least. The first one was The Menu,
which landed in my backyard till recently, right?
Yeah,
they were filming it down there in Savannah.
Absolutely, filmed in Savannah. I thought that was a really clever script. I also love The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal. I love that script. It was so meta and just it was just so well done. And I just think that one kind of got forgotten. I think we tend to forget about the comedies, and that was probably my favorite comedy of the year. And then there was another one called Vengeance, written by B.J. Novak of The Office fame. Very interesting script there that says a lot about today's culture. Check that one out. I believe it's on. Oh, I don't want to say it wrong. I want to say it's on Amazon Prime, but I think everybody should check that out.
All right, so let's move on to some even bigger ones.
Well, we go to adapted screenplay.
Adapted screenplay. Here we go.
Screenplays. So yeah, we got to get adapted screenplay out of the way here. Not out of the way. There's some good movies here. We got Top Gun: Maverick, Living, All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, and Women Talking. I do feel like there's one front runner, and that's Women Talking, Sarah Polley. I think she is the favorite to win here, with All Quiet on the Western Front possibly playing spoiler. I also think Rian Johnson's got a chance for Glass Onion. This is his second nomination. He also was nominated for Knives Out. So for both Knives Out films, he's been nominated for screenplay. So pretty impressive there.
And I'm trying to decide on this one. I really don't have a favorite, other than I kind of think what you're thinking about Women Talking, but I could see All Quiet on the Western Front. It feels like a Hollywood film that deserves a screenplay nod. it feels like, it's almost a given. I don't know, but anything could happen. Anything could happen. And that's the beauty of the awards.
I don't think Top Gun Maverick has a shot, but I do like the nomination here. I think some people groaned about it because, like, the screenplay, it's like, well, think about how hard it would be to do a sequel, 30, 35 years later, and have it be that good and well received. It's like, it's a smart script. It does a lot of, it centers around Goose, and they really did a smart thing with it. And so I like the nomination here. I don't think it has a shot.
I do, even though there's been many films that you and I have both watched after watching Ryan George's pitch meeting that he's like, so we're making a Star Wars film. So there's a trench run. Like, no, this isn't a Star Wars film. You should really check out pitch meeting if you haven't, the video on that. But I still agree with you on Top Gun Maverick. I mean, it hit all the right notes of nostalgia that it needed to hit. It got Danger Zone, it got the theme, it got all of those in there, the things we were expecting, and it took the story. It was almost like Avatar in a way this year. It took a okay story, which to me, Top Gun was, good, but I really enjoyed Top Gun Maverick way more than I enjoyed Top Gun. But I remember in the days when Top Gun came out, of course, I loved Top Gun, but there was so much more depth to this story. And you've heard the rumor, right, that after the plane crashes or explodes in midair, that the rest of the film is just Maverick's dream.
Yeah,
that I was like, the director would not agree with that, but we know that's not the official story. But he's like, that's a very interesting take on it. But still,
no, I don't think it has a shot, unfortunately.
I don't. Yeah, I
don't think Living has a shot either. Although an interesting note here, it's an adaptation to one of my favorite directors' films, Akira Kurosawa, his film Ikiru. So I kind of like that. A little nod there to Kurosawa, in a way, getting this nomination. But I do think adapted screenplay is going to go to women. Sarah Polley, Women Talking. She won the Writers Guild, I believe, and it's her second nomination. She's an up-and-coming filmmaker. She an actress that some people may recognize. I know she was the girl in The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
That was a fun film.
So, but it is Women Talking is really a great film. It delivers on the promise of the title. It is just women talking in a barn, but it's still so well done that it does captivate you, and the acting is great too. And we'll get to that when we get to supporting actress. But yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front could steal it there, but I do think it's going to Women Talking. And
you have two. Did we mention the snubs yet for that?
Oh yeah, I do have two snubs there. Darren Aronofsky for The Whale. I am a little surprised that didn't get in there. Or the script for She Said, based on the novel about the takedown of Harvey Weinstein. That was completely snubbed at the Oscars, which I was a little bit surprised. Although people could see that as just people, Hollywood patting themselves on the back for taking down Harvey Weinstein. Why not just bury that and put that behind us, So I kind of get it too, but it was a little snubbed.
Yeah. So moving on to some of the big final 3 or 4 categories here.
And we're down to the final 6.
Final 6, excuse me.
The big 6. We got all the acting and director and picture, and we'll start with supporting actress. A very great crop here, although I do think there were a lot of snubs. What a great year for supporting actress, and actually it usually is a great year for supporting actresses. There tends to be a lot of great roles out there. All of our nominees this year are first-time nominees. That's the first time that's happened in this category in over a decade. And the nominees are Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Told you.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely.
When I saw the film, I was like, she's getting a nomination.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Carrie Condon, The Banshees of Inisherin. Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Hong Chow for The Whale. I will say this. This is a three-way race now. It's been back and forth, which has been just wild. Like Carrie Condon won the BAFTA for this. Angela Bassett had won the other ones, the Critics' Choice, the Golden Globe. But then Jamie Lee Curtis swooped in and won the SAG a week or so ago. And that just shook everything up. Many people are now saying that this is Carrie Condon who's going to win. I'm not so sure. I still feel like Angela Bassett has a great chance. I don't necessarily agree with the nomination. I think she's very good in it.
She steals every single scene that she is in. And she is powerful in that.
Yeah, you're not, and you are not the only one that feels that way. So I do not discard that at all. This is the first nomination for acting in the MCU. So it is groundbreaking there, and she very well could win. I feel like it is. I do feel like they're going to give it to her. She's a very likable person. It could be seen as a Lifetime Achievement Award. I do think it's kind of. I think it's kind of strange that this happens all the time with actors, where they win for something that maybe is not quite as good as something that they should have won for before.
Right.
Like Angela Bassett probably should have won for What's Love Got to Do with It.
Totally.
And maybe should have won for Malcolm X. I mean, she's had all these great performances, and to me, it seems strange that she's going to win for a Marvel movie. But maybe I should think about it a different way, because she did have several powerful scenes.
If you take her out of that film is much less without her.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. I think that's why I also think it's not a very good film, in my opinion. It's one of Marvel's worst recently.
Yeah.
It's not terrible, but I didn't see it.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. It's not as good as the original Black Panther. I agree. I think we had unrealistic expectations. I'm of the camp that they should have recast T'Challa. I see where they set up for, future T'Challa. That's fine. There are a lot of things wrong with the film. It's a beautiful film. It's moving. That first trailer that came out, that was one of the best trailers, the most heart-wrenching trailers I saw when Wakanda Forever came out, the first one.
No, and I feel like you have convinced me more so about getting behind her win, because you're right. She is the best part of that movie, and she's a great representation of it. So I'm all for it. My personal vote is for Carrie Condon. I think she steals that movie.
Well, I was going to pivot that a little way. As strong as I am for Angela Bassett, after seeing Banshees of Inisherin, I loved her character in there. I loved the brother and sister relationship between her and Colin Farrell. And
right, she seems to be the grounded character, the voice of reason,
right?
Who is being put upon by everybody.
Everybody, quite literally, yes.
And in the film with such astonishing acting performances, I feel like hers is the best. And she's absolutely my number one supporting actress of the year. And she would be the second Irish woman, to win in this category. Brenda Fricker won for My Left Foot, so that could be some history there. And I do want to talk about some of the snubs, though. I feel like there's so many great supporting performances this year. Like, take your pick from the women talking. Claire Foy, Rooney Mara, Jessie Buckley all give phenomenal performances. You got Carey Mulligan in She Said. You got Thuso Mbedu for Woman King. She was phenomenal in that. Nicole Kidman for The Northman.
Hey, wait a minute. We've seen Nicole Kidman every time I see a film, and I'm like, please sit down, Nicole. I want to watch the film. Every time I go to AMC.
Oh yeah, before that.
She should get give an award so she'll sit down. We're trying to watch her film.
It's good in a place like this. And Kate Hudson for Glass Onion. I thought she stole that movie. And Dolly De Leon for Triangle of Sadness. Many people were talking about her sneaking in there, the cleaning lady from Triangle of Sadness. But it's a tough year because out of these 5 nominees, I would have 3 of them there for sure. Condon, Shu, and Chow. I know you love Bassett. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is maybe a little overrated here. I think Stephanie Shu is.
I'll tell you what, her character was very, very, very important part of that film, but she wasn't the most important part.
But and with winning the SAG, she could very well win the Oscar tonight, which would be interesting if, say, Everything Everywhere All at Once does win 3 awards. I think that would be the first time since 1977 that's happened with 3 acting.
You know what scared me was when I first saw the nominations, it said Jamie Lee Curtis, and I looked up at the screen and I was like, for Halloween Ends? I was like, no, please God, no. But that was not as good as the one before. But
an important note here, we'll see the trend here with Stephanie Shu and Hong Chow, which Hong Chow could have been nominated for the Menu as well, by the way, in my opinion. They are both those two, and Ki Wei Kwan and Michelle Yeoh. It's the most overall Asian acting nominees ever in a year with 4. So we've made history there.
That's fantastic.
Especially, I think that there is some balance there. We'll talk a little bit more about Oscars So White when we get to lead actress, but
do we have to?
I think it has to be touched on a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
But on the flip side, it seems like the Academy is definitely awarding more international films. They're awarding more Asian actors and filmmakers than usual. We had Parasite win a few years ago. We had
deservedly so.
Absolutely,
deservedly so.
Minari was nominated. So there's been some strides there for Asian filmmakers. That was an interesting stat there. So 4 Asian acting nominees, the most ever, and I think you'll see at least 2 of them win. So
that would be awesome.
So let's move to supporting actor. What do you think?
Yeah, that was a hard category there, and I think it gets harder.
It is.
Supporting actor. Who are our nominees? I think this is a lock, by the way, on your first choice here.
It is one of the few locks on the night, and that is Ki Wei Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. The also rans, the other nominees are Barry Keoghan, Brendan Gleeson, Judd Hirsch, and Brian Tyree Henry. So Ki Wei Kwan is the runaway train here, right? Like, he's not losing.
Exactly.
And for people that don't know, he played, was it Short Round in the Indiana Jones?
Oh gosh, yes, you're right. You're correct.
And I believe he was in the Goonies as well. So it's this great story, and he quit acting. Like, he quit acting for decades. And so it's this great story. And think about that moment when he's going to accept an Oscar, when Steven Spielberg's probably sitting front row, who directed him in Indiana Jones all those years ago. It's a really great story, and I don't think he's going to lose. Now, if he does lose, it's going to go to Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin, who actually is my number 1 supporting actor.
He was very good in that. After Eternals, he needed to win.
Yeah, right.
He was very, very disturbingly likable in this film.
Absolutely, as the village idiot. He was so great in that. It's his first nomination. He would be the second Irishman to win ever in this category. Barry Fitzgerald did it back in 1945 for Going My Way. He has a chance. He won the BAFTA, but Ki Wei Kwan's won everything else. Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, SAG. I just think he's not going to lose.
But some of the
go ahead.
some of the other nominees, like Brendan Gleeson, I think for a while was a bit of a front runner for Banshees of Inisherin. Sure. If he walked away with it, I would probably be the most excited. I feel like what his character went through, what he had to, or what he endured or decided to endure, I guess his character did, and how he portrayed things, it was kind of game changing. And now Judd Hirsch and The Fabelmans, I mean, it's, from what I understand, I did not get to see the film, unfortunately. But it's a small part, if I understand. Is that correct on that?
Yeah, he's
but it's powerful.
He has, again, it's like the Angela Bassett thing, where he's got he's got one great scene that just carries it, and he's kind of the heart of the movie. But yeah, he's barely in it. He now holds a really cool record with the Academy Awards for the longest period between Oscar nominations. He was nominated for his role in Ordinary People back in 1980, and now his second nomination in 2022, 42 years apart. Now
That's
holds
crazy.
the record for that longest period, 42 years. So yeah, I think he doesn't have a shot, unfortunately. An interesting note too for Brendan Gleeson, this is his first ever nomination, and he's had some great work over the years. First nomination also for Brian Tyree Henry, quite a little bit of a surprise nominee here, but I did watch the film, and he plays a man who lost his leg, so I think there's some depth to that role, and he's very deserving. I do feel like there's some snubs though I would put in over him. I love Nicholas Hoult in The Menu.
He was good. Yeah, he did.
He was so good in that. I also love Pedro Pascal in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. He was had such great chemistry with Nick Cage. Some other ones, Brad Pitt in Babylon. I thought this was going to be a lock for him to get another supporting actor nomination. He was shut out.
Pitt was very good in Babylon. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then how about Paul Dano? He had 2 turns this year.
Oh my gosh. The Batman. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I hadn't seen The Fabelmans, but the Batman is wait a minute, was he the Riddler? No. Yeah, he was the Riddler. Which fantastic performance there. I mean,
absolutely.
Totally encompassing that character, taking it to a dark place.
Yeah, and he gives he's definitely got a more meaty role in The Fabelmans than Judd Hirsch does. So I was kind of surprised to see Hirsch in there instead of Dano. Dano plays Spielberg's father in the film. And Seth Rogen actually gives a really great performance in that film too. Not sure if it's top 5 supporting actor, but he's very good in it. Another one I was a little disappointed with, I thought Jalen Hall, who plays Emmett Till in Till, what a great performance.
Right.
He's only on screen for the first maybe half hour of the film, but what an amazing performance from this young kid. We'll be seeing a lot more great things from him. And then how about let's talk about Colin Farrell before we talk about Colin Farrell again later.
Right.
In The Batman as the Penguin. He was phenomenal in that. So
totally, I mean, makeup for that alone, should almost win an award, because you could not tell me that was Colin Farrell.
Nope.
During that whole film. And that's a sign of a good actor. That's a sign of good makeup and all the above. And, Farrell was great in that.
Yeah. So, but Runaway Train, Kiwi Kwan here, put it in as a lock for your ballots there.
Yep. You said Runaway Train. You meant to say. Oh, I got what sorry. I missed that total cue. It's a Runaway Train. Okay. For Everything Everywhere All at Once. Okay. Sorry, right. I'm a little slow. I'm a little rusty at this. Let's get into Best Actress.
Absolutely. The nominees are Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is another coin flip, a 2-way race now between Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett. For the longest time, everybody thought this was Cate Blanchett's to lose. If she does win, it would be her 3rd win, joining some rare company. I believe Frances McDormand was the most recent to do that.
Right.
This is Cate Blanchett's 8th nomination, solidifying her as easily one of the greatest actresses of all time. She did win the BAFTA, the Critics' Choice, the Golden Globe, but Michelle Yeoh won the Golden Globe as well for comedy. And then the big thing was Michelle Yeoh won the SAG. And many people think that gives her the momentum, and she is now the front runner to win Best Actress. And she would be the first Asian woman to ever win in this category. In fact, she is the first Asian woman to ever be nominated in this category. She would only be, if she did win, she would only be the 2nd person of color to win this award behind Halle Berry. So some big history. I believe is going to happen tonight. Michelle Yeoh winning.
Now, answer me this question: does Hollywood hate comedy? It seems like it. I mean, as much as Everything Everywhere All at Once is a comedy, there's drama elements to it as well.
There absolutely is.
And I personally think my money would be on Michelle Yeoh. But it's hard to argue against someone like Cate Blanchett. That's like having Meryl Streep nominated. You're just like, oh God, Meryl Streep's in here. It's mine to try to lose or whatever.
It is truly a masterful performance too. Like, I was not as enamored with the film itself. It's actually probably my least favorite Best Picture nominee this year. I thought the pacing was really poor. I was so.
Now, which film are you talking about?
Tar. I'm talking about Tar. Cate Blanchett. I just felt it was very slow paced, and I could not get into it. I did enjoy her performance. She's astounding, one of my favorites. There are parts of the screenplay I really did enjoy about the cancel culture, especially making it about a woman who is essentially getting canceled. So there are some really intelligent things there with the film. I did not have as much fun with the film, and I kind of at a point where I want to be entertained, and I was not entertained by Tar.
Are you not entertained?
Exactly. Yeah, I guess that was the turning point.
Yeah.
When in Gladiator, the year 2000, I guess.
Yeah.
Also to note here, Michelle Williams. This is her 5th nomination. She's building quite the resume for herself. She's very good in The Fabelmans. Although I would have called that more of a supporting turn. So I'm kind of surprised she showed up here in lead actress. Ana de Armas, who I'm a big fan of, thought she should have got nominated for Knives Out. She was nominated for Blonde. So here's a case where you can get nominated for a terrible film. Blonde won the award last night at the Razzies for worst.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it's like the film is basically 3 hours of watching men torture and bully, Marilyn Monroe, and but her performance is astounding. So I get it. It's like, she became Marilyn Monroe. So I get the nomination. More controversial is the To Leslie scandal with Andrea Riseborough, where they evidently with social media, using social media to help, promote your friends and get them nominated and stuff. It came into play here. And so there was a lot of controversy about Riseborough's nomination. Supposedly she's great in the film. So I don't want to discount that from her. But
is this going to be a thing where, the stocks were inflated by the people that were doing a thing on TikTok or whatever it was, I don't know. I wonder, is she going to win and not really deserve the win? No offense to her, but you
never know. It's an interesting case that the Academy will have to change their rules about the process leading into nominations and everything. Because of this issue, it's she probably is deserving. A lot of people say she's great in it, but what it did, unfortunately, was it knocked out 2 Black women that were very deserving, and that's what people are going to talk about. And it may have had nothing to do with race, but it unfortunately, Danielle Deadwyler out, who to me, that's the #1 best actress of
for
the
Till.
year. For Till. Danielle Deadwyler gives the best performance of the year, in my opinion, better than Michelle Yeoh, better than Cate Blanchett.
It's how could you not be in a film that on such a serious topic, a serious part of our history in this country, and not get nominated for this? It's almost egregious. Till not getting nominated. I know it's different, but it's almost to the level of. Or is to the level of Maverick, Top Gun Maverick not getting a cinematography thing. As much as a travesty that is, Till not getting, even more importantly in history and what history is going to remember, Till not getting a nomination.
Right.
And her not getting it.
All. Viola Davis was the other person I was talking about here for The Woman King.
Right.
The Woman King did not get a nomination at all. So if there are people out there, clamoring Oscars so white again this year, I'm actually very behind it, because there were so many instances where they could have nominated. Till got no nominations. The Woman King, 0 nominations. Nope. Jordan Peele's Nope, no nominations. I thought that was very well done.
Nope threw me through a loop there for a minute. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I touched on Wendell and Wild, the animated film, got overlooked. There was a film, French film that was directed by a black woman that was said to be a shoe-in for international film. It did not get nominated. So there were a lot of things that, still people were kind of like, holy cow, how does this still keep happening? Especially when the opportunities are now greater, for that community. And, and they're pumping out great work. And so for them to get overlooked, especially with these films, Till and The Woman King, especially, oh my goodness, like how did they not get nominated at all?
Yeah, it doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, there were some other, other favorite actresses of mine this year that could have snuck in here. I thought Margot Robbie was great in Babylon. And my, my girl, Florence Pugh. Love my Florence Pugh. She was great in Don't Worry, Darling, another movie that wasn't very good, but her performance was great. And then she was also in this Irish film, The Wonder, where she was phenomenal. So Pugh got overlooked there. I think Mia Goth, watch out for Mia Goth in the future. Her performance in X and Pearl, it's part of a horror trilogy. The third one's coming out this year, I believe. She is astounding in those 2 films, but horror, again, as we've talked about before, the horror tends to get overlooked.
Yeah, I haven't seen Chucky get a Lifetime Achievement Award.
And it's a travesty.
So, or Jason or Freddy, nothing. No love from the Academy. Why?
No. On that note, you want to move to Best Actor?
I think we better.
All right. So Best Actor, we've got Austin Butler for Elvis, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Colin Farrell, The Banshees of Inisherin, Bill Nighy for Living, and Paul Mescal for After Sun. This is interesting. For the first time since 1935, all of these men are first-time nominees. First time in this category.
Amazing.
And how many years is that? And it's almost 90 years. I believe it's the seventh annual Oscars was the last time in this category we had all first-time nominees. Pretty astounding.
Now it's Oscars 95 or 1995, as some people are calling it.
Right, exactly. It's Oscars 1995 tonight. So it's only been 60 years. Okay. So yeah, I think here, an interesting note here too. It's a record year for Irish actors, obviously 4 of them being in Banshees of Inisherin, but Paul Mescal is also Irish. He's nominated here for After Sun. So 5 of the 20 actors nominated this year are Irish.
Go Ireland.
Mescal, yeah. So Farrell and Mescal, they would be the first Irish man to win in this category if they were to do it. I don't think Paul Mescal has a chance. I don't think Paul Nighy has a chance. Colin Farrell has fallen off, I think. I think he does have an outside shot, a sliver of a hope. But I do believe this is coming down to Austin Butler and Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah, as much as I would love to see Colin Farrell get it, I don't think he will. I just think he's on an outside chance. Austin Butler, I mean, just encompassing Elvis. I mean, he couldn't even stop talking like Elvis months after he did the film. So that's how involved he was, you know.
And you know how I love when actors do all their singing, so I was impressed with that.
Yeah. You probably weren't a fan of I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston, which was...
I did not see it, no.
Yeah, I didn't see it either, but I know it was from the writer-director of the film I loved.
I know. Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody, thank you. And
Sync R Us, yeah.
Ouch. But you're just mad. You're always going to be mad because I forgot your film. Didn't get it.
Yeah, it's fine. The Star is Born.
Star is Born. Thank you. But point taken, and we move on. But
yeah, I won't be upset with an Austin Butler win, but man, do I want Brendan Fraser to win this.
It would feel like, a really good thing.
I feel like the Academy's going to lean that way. It's just a better story. No offense to Austin Butler. He did a great job. It's just like he's a young up-and-comer, you know? This story behind Brendan Fraser, it's like he's been acting for all these years, but he's never done anything quite this good. It's always been kind of run-of-the-mill, you know, action movies, comedies.
And he feels like an underdog that people want to pull for.
Exactly. It's like I don't think he'd ever really challenged himself much. There were some dramas there. I believe, what was it? School Ties was a decent drama he did. And
he's had some issues in his personal life involved with Hollywood and such that drove him from the business, that could see him coming back as not being a victim, but you know.
Well, and that's why he spoke out against the Golden Globes. And I think that's why he lost the Golden Globe.
And I think that could be a reason why he doesn't get. I feel like him and Tom Cruise, I won't say are blacklisted. I don't want to say that as, you know, but I feel like.
I don't want to discard what you're saying, but it's like with the Golden Globes, yes. Tom Cruise, Brendan Fraser, they're persona non grata because of their statements. But this is a completely different voting body with the Academy. So I really think that Fraser's going to win tonight. I think he's the best story. I think this work is astounding when you compare it to Encino Man and everything else. Not that I don't like Encino Man.
Don't you knock Encino Man. That's a classic, man. That is Oscar worthy.
I do have an appreciation for for some of those earlier things he did, but it's not on the level of this. This is an astounding performance, and I want him to win.
There's so much authenticity to his role in The Whale that feels like it deserves this award.
He brings it to it, you know, despite, you know, the detractors out there that will say we shouldn't be using fat suits and everything. He definitely brought a level of authenticity. I agree with you. So yeah, I'm rooting for him. I think that there's some cool things going on, some history going on.
Well,
with all the acting nominees here, we've got, for the first time since 1977, we have 2 films that earned 4 acting nominations. Both Banshees and Everything Everywhere All at Once got 4 acting nominations. If one of them wins 3, which I think every man, it's tough to say that a bunch of times. Everything Everywhere All at Once wins 3, which it very well could,
or wins everything,
all at once. It's not up for lead actor, so it can't. If it wins 3, it will also it'll be the first time since 1977 as well when Network did that. Network won 3 acting awards, and so that hasn't been done.
You mean the Prelude to the Joker?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Which was still a phenomenal film as well.
Yeah, no, that was definitely an influence on that. Also, a cool note about all the acting nominees, you know, all 20 of them, only 4 of them have ever been nominated for. So we've got 16 newcomers. Judd Hirsch, Angela Bassett, Michelle Williams, and Cate Blanchett are the only ones that have ever been nominated before. Blanchett's the only one that's ever won before. I do have some snubs here. Felix Kammerer in All Quiet on the Western Front. Man, he carries that film. So I would have liked to seen him there. Diego Calva for Babylon. I thought he was great, you know, in that lead role. Ray Fiennes for The Menu.
I agree with Ray Fiennes on that. He was a pivotal part of that film, yeah.
Oh, gosh, absolutely. I love Nick Cage, as I said, an unbearable weight of massive talent, although he's playing himself, so I don't know if you can nominate that. Daniel Kaluuya for Nope. I mean, what a great performance in that. So, we also got Alexander Skarsgård for The Northman, Gabriel LaBelle playing a young Spielberg for The Fabelmans. And then a lot of people were talking about Tom Cruise getting nominated here for acting. And you know what? I would have been okay with that. Like he did have a lot of range. There actually are some emotional moments in this film. And, you know, and obviously him flying a jet. How many actors have flown a freaking jet? So, like, I was kind of surprised that Tom Cruise didn't get a nod.
Maverick was on that level of what he does, and his Tom Cruise in his life as an actor and doing his stunts and everything was equivalent to Avatar: The Way of the Waters, technological expertise in that sense. What he did in practical terms, I think, with Maverick versus, like what I think it's on the level of almost what Avatar, what Cameron did with CGI, et cetera.
Sure.
He put his everything into it. And I think they want to see a little bit more angst. They want to see him a little bit more from Tom Cruise because we know he can bring the action. We know he can do the stunts.
Well,
but
here's the thing, and you just said it. I think this could be a push for a new category. He is changing the game in stunt work. I think that the Oscars should recognize stunts as a category. So maybe with the efforts he's been doing with the Top Gun film and then the Mission Impossible franchise, we could maybe see a stunt category in the future.
And I'm sorry, but he needs some kind of recognition for, I don't know, dragging the box office towards profitability this year.
Bringing it back, yeah.
Bringing back the big spectacle film. There's nothing wrong with a big blockbuster film. There were a lot of supposed blockbuster films that didn't hit this year the way that they've hit in the past. And Maverick just grew over time. It's not groundbreaking in its storytelling necessarily, but obviously its cinematography is. But filling the seats means something, and Oscar voters need to realize that is an important part because your ratings are dipping every year on the Oscars. We had the unfortunate slap heard around the world last year, and the brilliant response by Chris Rock of that. And for the record, I hate both of them fighting. I just wish they could work it out. But it's great material in between. But the fact that, Oscars really need to look at, and I'm not saying be influenced too much by the general public, but if the general public, there's more of a schism now, I think, than ever between what's actually popular that people are actually going to the cinemas to watch. And I've been to the theater more than several times this year to see almost empty houses, empty showings. The last time I saw the place sold out was from help me out. The last Spider-Man, was it Far From Home? Was that the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Maverick, those are the only two high points of basically the whole year. Or
I definitely hear you because I'll tell you, I went yesterday to see Scream 6 and it was actually kind of packed. So and that could be in correlation just to these other films getting people back out there.
I don't know if we call it I don't know if I'm on the board with creating a category like most popular film or something like that, because then it becomes American Idol or something like that, and it seems to cheapen it.
I think that they have to incorporate them more into, and you see that this year where Top Gun and Avatar are both up for Best Picture.
Because I'm going to get real here. Okay, let's put two films. They're totally different, but let's put them back to back, okay? We have Wakanda Forever, and we have Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick filled more seats consistently than Black Panther did. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever did great, but it didn't do what Top Gun Maverick did consistently on a weekly basis. And we forget that it was a good part of the spring, summer, into the fall, had they not released it on video, it could still be playing in some theaters, So the Academy needs to look at that.
Which is why I'm surprised that Joseph Kosinski, the director, was not nominated for Best Director, which is our next category.
Yeah, so that's a good way to pivot. And I agree with you on that. So
what our nominees for Best Director are the Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once. We got Todd Field for Tar, Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, and Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. A really cool note here. This is the first time ever in Oscars history where each nominated director is also nominated for screenplay. Kind of a cool little note there.
Right.
But only Ruben Östlund is a stranger to the Oscars. These are his first nominations. He's nominated for Best Picture, Director, and Screenplay for Triangle of Sadness. Of course, we've got Steven Spielberg, who's a legend, 22 nominations overall now.
We're getting close to that. Should Spielberg get it for the story of his life? We're getting closer to that discussion, and think of the most influential director. I mean, we have in our lifetimes, Spielberg is probably up there with Lucas for me, of course, but Spielberg is my quintessential.
Spielberg is my idol, and he always has been. And
right.
Especially, to a young Jew, he's going to be, right? So, I mean, he is.
And to a young non-Jew, he still is.
Gentiles and non-Gentiles.
Yes.
But this is his 22nd nomination overall. This is his 9th for director, which ties him with Scorsese. They're still 3 behind William Wyler, who was nominated 12 times for this award. If Spielberg wins, he could join Frank Capra and William Wyler with 3 Best Director wins, and that would only be 1 behind John Ford, who had 4 wins. And John Ford, he pays tribute to in the film. So I'm really rooting for Spielberg. He's won twice before, so that may hurt him a little bit. He also broke ground. He is the first director to ever be nominated in 6 decades. He's been nominated.
I did not know that, but that makes sense. Wow. That's Absolutely. How long he's been around, and that's how important he is. I mean, I think of, and forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but The Color Purple, was he nominated for that, or was that the famous snub that he didn't get Best Picture nomination, or what was it?
No, it was not. He was nominated for Best Picture and Director for that, but the famous snub is it won 0. It won absolutely nothing, and people were upset with it.
And rightfully so. Upset, yeah.
But I'm rooting for him here. I think he has a shot to win. I'm not sure. I don't think Todd Field or McDonagh are really in the running anymore. Todd Field's an interesting filmmaker. I think we mentioned he made In the Bedroom, Little Children. This is his first nod for directing. It's his 6th nomination overall. He was nominated for Screenplay, Best Picture for the other 2 I mentioned. Martin McDonagh's had 7 nominations because he did 3 billboards. What is that? Ebbing, Missouri, the Francis McDormand film. He did In Bruges. He was nominated for In Bruges screenplay, the other film with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. But I think this is the Daniels to win. They seem to have all the momentum. They won at the Directors Guild, which is usually an indication of who's going to win. Although Spielberg won at the Golden Globes, again, that voting body is not the same as the Academy. The DGA, the Directors Guild, lines more up with the Academy. So I do think this is the Daniels to win. It is their first nominations. They would be the 3rd pair to win. Robert Weiss and Jerome Robbins were a team that won for West Side Story back in 1960. And then the Coen brothers, one of my favorite duos.
Totally.
One for No Country for Old Men. So if they were to win, they would be the 3rd duo to ever win this award, which is another cool distinction. And this is a really cool group of nominees. But there were a decent number of snubs. Again, we'll talk about Chinonye Chukwu for Till, Gina Prince Bythewood for Woman King. There was a lot of talk about maybe getting a Black woman nominated this year, and they would have been very deserving, but they were left on the outside looking in. As I said, Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick, I think he was very deserving. Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front. And it's just, there's so many. James Cameron for
Avatar too,
for what he did there.
Way of Water.
Toro for Pinocchio. Sarah Polley for Women Talking. It's just David Chazelle for Babylon. The list goes on. It's unfortunate. Like, sometimes I do wish we had more than 5 nominees.
Yeah, it seems like we can have for picture we can have 10 like we have this year, but for directors we can't. And it's kind of hard to be the best director and not get the best picture. I just don't understand if you directed, if you were the best director that year, how do you not have the best picture?
Yeah,
that's another one. I think you're right about the two Daniels getting best director here, but my heart wants Spielberg to get it, even if it's seen as like a lifetime achievement award. I mean, he doesn't need the award, but it would be nice. And for a story about his own life,
it would be fitting, right?
It would be so fitting. And so I don't know. So that brings us to, I think that brings us to Best Picture.
That brings us to the big award.
The big award of the night.
Award. So the nominees are, so we've touched on all these have been nominated for other awards, but the list here are Everything Everywhere All at Once, All Quiet on the Western Front, Tar, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, The Fabelmans, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking, and Avatar: The Way of Water.
And so, I think we want to mention real quick the amount of nods that each of them had, if you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So leading the way was Everything Everywhere All at Once. It has 11 nominations, and it's the clear front runner tonight for the big awards. In fact, I do think it's going to win Best Picture, and I kind of think it's a lock now.
Yeah.
We've also got All Quiet on the Western Front and The Banshees of Inisherin. Both had 9 nominations, solid showing. Elvis with 8. The Fabelmans with 7. I believe Tar had 6. Top Gun Maverick with 4, Triangle of Sadness 3, Avatar: Way of Water 4. Women Talking only had 2, which was surprising for me, especially with a Best Picture nominee. You'd think you'd have more than 2 overall nominations. It only got nominated for screenplay. I think it should have been up for some acting awards. So I do like seeing it here in the list. Again, as I said earlier, I think it's a solid list. I think Tar is the only one that really put me off. I get, like, there's so many people that say it's the best film of the year. So, like, I get where people are coming from. It's an interesting idea.
Do you feel? Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
do you just say that it's a very erudite film? It's just this. I feel like that people that are really, into the minute details of filmmaking, that it is kind of this masterful work, and like I want to go back and watch it and pick it apart.
I was thinking that's exactly on the lines of what I was thinking about. Do you think that Tar almost caters specifically to a certain group of people that either could be its strength or its weakness?
I think it could be its strength because there are so many people like that within the voting body. So, it could actually be one to steal some awards, even Best Picture. A note about that film, which is pretty impressive, another tip of the cap to Cate Blanchett, is this film being nominated for Best Picture extends her record as the actor appearing in the most Best Picture nominated films of all time. So she's been in 10 films nominated for Best Picture, and that's the most of any male or female actor ever. Pretty impressive stat.
That's a mic drop there for her.
Right? So, some other cool little notes about some of these. Spielberg, again, we mentioned earlier about his history in the director category. Here, with this nomination for The Fabelmans, Spielberg ties William Wyler for the most films directed to a Best Picture with 13. So 13 of Steven Spielberg's films have been nominated for Best Picture, which ties William Wyler's record. And
how many, not to put you on the spot, because I don't know right off the hand, how many has he won?
How many has he won? He's won 2 for director. And
for Schindler's List, I believe.
His 2 for director are Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
And I believe only one of his films has won Best Picture, and that was Schindler's List.
Okay.
But this is the 13th film of his that's been nominated, and it's tied a record, and I know he's got a few more films in him, so hopefully he breaks that record.
I would love to see the after party with him and John Williams with Oscars in their hands.
Right?
That they've worked together so much, and,
Yeah. No, that would be great.
Yeah.
Another little note here: Tom Cruise being nominated as a producer on Top Gun Maverick. This is his first Oscar nomination as a producer. As we know, that's kind of important with him now being so instrumental as in producing these franchises now, the Mission Impossible and Top Gun Maverick. So pretty cool to see him actually get a nomination here, even though he wasn't nominated for acting. He's got 3 acting nominations before, but
right.
It's cool to see him nominated as a producer.
Do you think, I mean, we don't have it down as winning, but for Best Picture, do you think this is where they shock everybody and give Top Gun the Oscar for Best Picture? Do you think that's even a remote? I know you don't have it down as a win, so I know the answer is no, but
I'd say, God, 1%. Like, I'm so convinced right now that Everything Everywhere All at Once is a lock.
As am I, yes.
It's just, it's got the momentum. Everybody loves it. It's truly unique. It's diverse. It's you know, it just seems like the front runner here. And I do feel like you're right, though. I mean, if something was going to upset it, it could be Top Gun Maverick because everybody loved it. Because, you know, with how people vote, it's a point system. You know, everybody ranks 1 through 10. And I can imagine Top Gun Maverick's probably top 5 in a lot of people's polls. So
yeah, I mean, there were people in many demographics that saw this movie 5, 6 times. I mean, you don't get a film that makes that kind of money, just like Avatar. You know, you don't get a film, A Way of Water. You don't get a film like that makes over $1 billion where people haven't seen it more than several times, and people enjoyed this movie. I've watched it twice from start to finish. It came on one day, and I was like, I guess I'm sitting here for the next 2 hours, and that's exactly what I did. And I watched the whole thing through and enjoyed it as much as in the theater.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater, and then as soon as it came to Paramount Plus, I watched it again.
Yeah, that's when I watched it. So I've seen it probably, I think 4 times at this time. I've seen it twice on TV and once in the biggest IMAX. And
no, I do not want to discount the fact, like, it could sneak in there and win. I think there are 2 films that could steal it from Everything Everywhere, if at all possible. It's that and All Quiet on the Western Front. And the reason why I say that is because All Quiet on the Western Front did really well at the BAFTAs, British Academy Awards. It won so many awards at the British Academy Awards. And a lot of our voting body, the Academy's voting body, like overlaps with the BAFTA's voting body.
And it feels like an Oscar film, you know. It feels tailor-made to win the Oscar for Best Picture. You know, when you line them up and the list of them all, you know, Top Gun Maverick might look out of place, but, you know, All Quiet on the Western Front is, for all intents and purposes, it's a remake, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's been done. I want at least 2 times, and I think that it's notable here that this was a German novel, you know, from the early 20th century, and it was never made by German filmmakers. It's an anti-war film or an anti-war book, you know, and it's German, but the German people have never actually made the film, and this was their chance to do it, and they did such a great job with it. The originals from, I want to say 1930. It's one of the first Best Picture winners of all time, so that would be cool too. So what if it did win? Then you'd have a remake of a Best Picture winner winning Best Picture. Pretty crazy, especially.
It feels like a West Side Story kind of story. No pun intended.
But I mean, it's such an even longer span too.
Right.
West Side Story was 1960.
Right.
All Quiet on the Western Front was 1930. So it's like, wow, it's like nearly 90 years. 90 years.
Of all these films, only maybe Avatar, and it's, you know, not real, obviously, but Everything Everywhere All at Once seems to be one of the only films that's looking forward and backwards and sideways and every direction, but all the other ones, you know, they're all looking back. And, you know, I think it's Everything Everywhere All at Once's film to lose Best Picture. I mean, I think it's a lock. I do. All Quiet on the Western Front sneaking in there would be a bit of a surprise, but I could, on an outside chance, see that Maverick won't make it, but if it did, I'd probably be the happiest person tomorrow if it did.
Yeah, I think that would make a ton of people happy for sure.
Yeah, it would make the Oscars seem a little bit more relevant to the general population, and not just Oscar voters, and people in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. But we've talked about this years before about when the Oscars were, we need all the blockbuster films, like I guess Infinity War, Endgame was coming out, and how they didn't get, Best Picture nominations. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
we don't want to get it too much into, like we said earlier, we don't want to get it too much into where, it's a popularity contest, but truly what the best films are. And, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once was so unique. Banshees of Inisherin, very unique in its own way. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think, did it better. It just on the uniqueness scale of things.
Yeah. Yeah, so. And when it wins, I do say when it wins, because I think it's a lot. I think it'll be a great representative for the industry. It's a great, it's here we are rewarding a unique film,
right?
And and that doesn't get done enough. They have been starting to do that recently. The past few years, I really like it. It's Parasite, Coda, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Films that you've never really seen before. So, kudos, hats off to them there, even if they are ignoring pockets of communities.
Were there any notable things that you wanted to mention there on the other films that I might have stepped on you there?
Oh, no, I think we covered all of that. I mean, we did, other than...
And what about your snubs?
I did want to mention about Frances McDormand. She's, again, on the same level of, Tom Cruise, like as a producer. This is her second nomination for Best Picture, and she won as a producer on Nomadland. So she's, this is her 8th nomination overall when you include producing and acting. So she's racking up the nominations in her own right. So kudos to Frances McDormand. She's barely in that film. I wonder if she had scheduling issues because she has a very small role in it. Or it could have just been a choice. But I do want to reiterate about some of these snubs. I think that don't forget about Till.
Till was probably the biggest thing of this night, one of the biggest snubs of this night.
Absolutely. It's an important story. If you don't know the story, you don't know the story, you need to know the story. The story must be told.
Definitely.
It's told in the film. It tells it with such honesty. Again, dumbfounded that it's not nominated for any Oscars, let alone not for Best Picture.
That makes zero sense to me. 0 cents that Till didn't get a nomination.
There were some other one of my, and I mentioned all of these before as we've come along, but I would have liked to have seen, Woman King, Babylon, The Whale, The Northman, The Menu, The Batman, Nope, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, or even Del Toro's Pinocchio. Like, I would put Del Toro's Pinocchio in there over Avatar: Way of Water. I mean, if you're going to go with, auteurs with painstaking, films, I would have put Del Toro's Pinocchio in there, but still.
I get your point on that, but, on Way of Water, I mean, he had to create some of the technology just like Del Toro had to.
Exactly. Del Toro did too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Just because it's done on the computer doesn't mean it's, yeah. But stop motion is not.
Again,
yeah.
It's
easy.
It's another one of those where it's like, man, can we have more nominees? But
Exactly.
But no, I think tonight will be an interesting night. Like, usually when I'm filling out my ballot, I feel pretty confident that I'm only going to miss a handful. Like the short films are always tough, but this year there are so many coin flips that like it could go either way. So it makes it more interesting and more fun. And I think there's a lot of history to watch out for.
I think it leaves the question of what is a coin? And why do you flip it? For some of the viewers, they don't know. No. So first year with two sequels were nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, that's another cool.
It's interesting.
With Top Gun Maverick and Avatar. So, and that's where we're headed. I think when we said about getting more popular films in there, typically sequels are, sequels to popular films. So they're, getting them in there is good.
So you have the two box office earners of this year, essentially. Exactly. When you look at it straight as a 2023 calendar, it's by and far the way of order. But if you look at Avatar being considered a 2022 film for when it came out, continuing into 2023, as a 2022 film is just right below Maverick. So Maverick would be the number one domestic box office of 2022 versus Avatar, Way of Order being the domestic of 2023. And they're still both considered 2022 films, excuse me. So there's that. So final thoughts on anything?
No, just enjoy. I think as I said, that we've got a lot of history that can happen, a lot of history that already happened. Mm-hmm. Look for some great performances. I believe. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Rihanna is performing. I know David Byrne is, and I know that Not To will be performed. I think
that will be what people are talking about tomorrow, assuming that everybody stays in their seat and they don't slap nobody, and people act right, like they got parents and they're grown.
We'll see how Jimmy Kimmel does. He tends to do a pretty good job with these things. So.
Yeah. And let's hope we don't mix up the Best Picture nominee or the winners or any flubs like we've had in the past. Let's read everything before we present it.
Yeah, a lot of people want to see moments like that. They want to see people screw up. But still, I think
I want a good show that's entertaining.
Yeah, it'll be a fun night. So.
Yeah. And we're going to, this is going to conclude a very long episode. I'm glad to be back, and we'll be back on video soon. We're going to probably present at some point our post-OSCARS show. I don't know how we're going to work out the logistics of that, but hopefully Scott will be able to come back.
Yeah, let's maybe we can try to do it. Obviously, we want to try to do it Monday. We'll try to make that happen, if not Tuesday. Yeah.
Don't hold us to that, but we're gonna come back with it. And if you get a chance to go back and listen to this episode, because by the time I get it posted, we're probably already starting pre-Oscar parties. We're recording this. We've been recording almost 2 hours here, so it's almost 4 o'clock Eastern.
Let's get off of here so you can post it and people can listen.
They can listen, and I invite you to come back and listen to it as well, and kind of see, where we stood, and we'll recap things in our post-Oscar show. So anyway, thank you, Scott, for coming back, for taking the time out on this wonderfully beautiful, dreary day outside, and it's a good day it's a good day to watch a film, to watch the Oscars. So let us know your thoughts.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, sir. All righty. All right, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. Oh, I got to do the outro. Here we go. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld with your host, Savage Tech Man. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+. Follow and interact with us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on iTunes and leave a review. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Read our thoughts on Blogger. See you again on the Geek Homeworld.